Hey all, welcome to the HellfireComms Halloween playthrough of Man of Medan by Supermassive Games. You may recognise the developer's name. They're the blokes and lasses behind Until Dawn, which we also have done a playthrough of. And this is a bit of a weird one. It's kind of like the start of a new thing, as you can see here, the Dark Pictures Anthology. It's not Until Dawn tier, it's kind of the midway point. Is that fucking the guy? No, that can't be the same guy from Until Dawn. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Richy, much like me, you haven't experienced this before, have you?
Yeah, no, I have absolutely not touched this at all, and unlike Until Dawn, where, I had actually had a look at certain elements of it, i.e., I'd had a look at some of the deaths, and I knew pretty much all of the plot, I really don't know much about this game apart from the small little bit of research that I've done about 5 seconds before we started recording, because I just thought, since, I'm normally the trivia guy, I thought, get some stuff that I can play with, and I've seen a few things that occur, but I don't actually know how it all fits together. So I'll be very intrigued to see how this goes.
Now, as you saw back there on the menu, there are actually 2 cuts of this game. One will be the theatrical cut, that's what we're going to be presenting to you guys first, and then there will come the curator's cut. But Flame, what sets Man of Medan apart from Until Dawn?
Well, ultimately, I think the best way to put it is that it's very much a spiritual successor to Until Dawn, and you'll see that very much so when we get to the actual gameplay. The story, though, it's got similar sort of ideas to it. It is a horror game, as you can tell. We're doing this right by Halloween. It's fitting, but yeah, it's got a slight difference in tone. It's hard to describe, really, but whereas Until Dawn was very much a pastiche of horror films and horror media, it has elements of that, but to a certain degree it feels like it owns it in a slightly different direction.
Yeah.
It's also got a very different setting, and it's got some somewhat disturbing character models at times, like we see Charlie here. It baffles me the fact that they let this character Charlie be one of the first characters you see, because he arguably has the worst character model out of everyone in the game.
Yeah, he's no Rami Malek from Until Dawn, that's for sure.
No, they do have some people who pretty much everyone other than me probably you heard of. Like, the only guy I know is Shawn Ashmore, and that's because he was in another game, but,
Well, having had a look at the cast list, I would say that Shawn Ashmore is the only one that most people would recognise, and that's basically because he played Iceman in the X-Men movies, and then Jack Joyce in Quantum Break. Other than that, he does look familiar as an actor, but those are kind of probably the 2 key roles that most people would think of him for. The rest of the cast, I have absolutely no idea who any of them are, and that's totally fine because that's exciting. But what I do find slightly odd actually looking at this is one of the things that was really cool about Until Dawn was the character models were actually excellent. They had a few sort of janky moments in terms of the animation, but they looked really good. So to see them sort of backslide a little bit on that is a shame, but from what I can gather, Shawn Ashmore's character is the only one whose character is modelled after him.
Yeah.
All of the others have been sort of created to look like whoever they wanted him to look like, which I can imagine will lead to slight issues in the design because of whatever technology they're using.
Yeah, see, I will say, I like to say Charlie is the rough one. Most of the time it looks fine, this game, graphically. It's got some really nice settings, and the character models, once you get over the initial uncanny valley, it sort of blends in a bit better and you start to get used to it. But the performances themselves, like the voice acting and whatnot, I would say it's pretty solid throughout. There's a few little lines that it's obvious that they've had to join them together depending on what choices you made, and sometimes it's a little bit disjointed, but on the whole I think it holds up.
Now just make sure you don't hit any eagles or ravens, etc., because as we found out Until Dawn, you fuck with nature and nature will fuck back.
Thankfully, although this thing can hit you, it's not alive, so we should be fine here. I've just got to press B to dodge, press X to dodge, I'll be fine.
Okay, we've casualised it a little bit from Until Dawn with proper QuickTime events and so on.
The gameplay is very much following the same beats in that respect, although, oddly enough, it does look very Until Dawn in its execution, it's actually built on a different engine. I believe for Until Dawn they had a proprietary engine that they had put together specifically for it, whereas this is just using Unreal. But the entire game's look, even in the menus and shit, which I'm not going to be showing off because I want to just let the story play out, but it has the same basic layout of Until Dawn, like how close you are with other characters and whatnot. So it's like they've remade the entire structure beat for beat.
Well, I suppose my guess is probably what happened was that while the Until Dawn engine sort of was very good, it probably had a few issues that they had whilst they were working on that engine, and as with most things, it just made sense to go with something that has a lot more support, because I know that outside of video games and video game engines, that's pretty much the case with most IT systems that people use. Like, this is going to be slightly boring, but it makes sense. When I used to work at the council, what they used to use was like a system that had been built in-house, and it was just like, the person left and then nobody knew how to use the bloody thing, and if it broke, it's just like, great, we're screwed. So they started using some stuff that had much more support, like from other companies and stuff, and it just makes things a lot easier on everybody.
Yeah.
So I suspect that's part of it, because I mean, if you look at like Kingdom Hearts, obviously that began on was it the Luminous or Lumus or whatever engine, and then they switched it over to Unreal Engine 4 because it just made it so much simpler.
Free, yeah.
Yes. So these things are quite common in video games.
I'm just enjoying these guys being completely pissed off their tits right now.
Look, when we're transporting Dio from point A to point B, you can't be fucking around on top of the deck, okay? You gotta make sure that no one revives him, but you know he's been resting for like 100 years.
Nothing bad will happen, I'm sure. But I just love that guy's accent, the guy who found him, because that was so obviously, let's make this guy sound as American as possible. It's fantastic. But yes, this opening chapter here, this is set very shortly after World War II. That's the time frame that we're in here. We've got our guys on the ship transporting bits and pieces about. That's pretty much our setting for the opening. And it's, I guess the whole ship in the ocean thing, it is a very well established trope for horror. Maybe not quite with this angle, you know, the whole post-World War II fright ship kind of thing, but, you know, it's got the whole idea there.
Hang on, did you just call it a fright ship? You mean freight?
That's what I said.
Ah, well. I thought you were unintentionally making a Halloween-esque ruse cruise for us all, but, whatever even was in those crates is probably going to seep into the bones of the dearly departed, those lost during the war, and, it may come back to haunt their fellow countrymen.
Yeah, but you know what's actually really cool is, much like Until Dawn, which was obviously based on the legends and myths and stuff of the Wendigos. Spoilers for Until Dawn, but hey, at this point, if you've not played it or you don't know it, you're never gonna. This is actually based on a not quite famous legend of a ghost ship.
Okay, well, don't spoil the whole thing, just give us the gist.
Well, basically, the name of the ship is the SS Ourang Medan, which is basically where this game gets its name from, which apparently became a shipwreck in the Dutch East Indies waters or elsewhere after its entire crew had died under suspicious circumstances at some point in the 1940s. This could have been 1940, 1947, 1948, but there's many different sources. People don't even know if the bloody ship was real because they can't find any evidence, but yes, it's quite an interesting one, and that seems to be what has inspired this particular game, which I do quite like that it is based on a real-world legendary event.
Yeah, there are a few creative liberties around this game, which, you know, it keeps it fresh and interesting. But right now we have to deal with the fact that there's a dead guy here. So how do we get away without this looking bad?
Well, there's the vent system. We could just pretend to be a corpse ourselves. There's tons of options here. Just get creative.
Let's just walk away very slowly.
Alright, just keep walking, not right into a wall, just keep walking, keep walking.
Is the wall going to become the new bush?
God.
No.
Well, we actually overcame that in the bonus video of the second run playthrough.
I know, I saw. I was very proud of you, Tom.
Yep, third time lucky. But this is pre-recorded, so I know where I fuck up and where I don't, so we haven't got to worry about any surprise fuck-ups at the end here.
Oh, lovely. Colour-coded subtitles. That's very helpful.
Yeah, that's actually one of the accessibility options, because by default there's no subtitles, but you can either put on white subtitles or colour-coded ones, and I just thought this makes it easier to tell who's who, especially with us talking over it. So
yeah, we have to record at a lowered volume, and God knows how I'm going to balance it with the regular talking being sort of normal, and then the gigantically loud lightning bolts hitting the ship.
Oh yeah, that's going to be fun. It's not quite the time eater, but it's up there.
Ooh.
But this is the replacement for the PS4's like little hold the controller still thing, and it's just tapping on the beat. This one, the tutorial one, if you fuck up this, it doesn't matter, nothing really changes. But as you go through the game, you can fuck over certain characters for these sections, so be careful.
How has he just not, like, smelled you at this point?
What are you applying? We had a shower in there, you know.
Well, the other dude was, like, next to a corpse. Some corpse smell might have rubbed off on him.
We didn't touch the corpse, you know.
Okay, show of hands, who thinks we're being attacked by supernatural entities here?
Hands up.
Or that guy's just barmy. One of the two.
Maybe. It's a combination, smorgasbord of ethereal happenings.
Come on, Charlie, out the fucking way. This is going to become a recurring thing.
Oh, no thanks.
Oh, come on, it's just a little jump scare, like, it's nothing.
Look, just because it was a kid, you don't have to classify as a little jump scare. That's very demeaning.
It was a little jump scare, though. Even, like, the scare code was a lot softer than usual.
Exactly.
A very dainty sort of scare.
Yeah, like, it's the audio direction's done in a way that, like, the little scares aren't quite as loud as the big scares.
Okay. Flame, without giving too much away, how would you rate this in terms of, like, the spookiness factor compared to Until Dawn?
It has some spooky moments, but differently. Like, we're getting the jump scares to open up the game with, but it's not actually as liberal with the jump scares as I remember Until Dawn being. So, in a way, that kind of makes them more effective, because you haven't had one in a while, so you're not quite as tense and waiting for it. But it kind of, like, it's more the tone and the setting of the areas later in the game that bring that atmosphere in, rather than just shit jumps out at you all the time.
People are just, like, dropping like flies there. Also, by the way, FUBAR stands for fucked up beyond all repair, I believe.
Yeah, that's what happens when you pull your heatsink out yourself. But yeah, they do like their... I don't know how best to describe it. Like, I guess the cliche language to start here, which seems a little bit, you know, out of character in this particular setting, just being on the ship here. Like, that feels like more of a modern kind of thing, but I may be wrong there.
I get you.
I don't know, it's sort of like when fucking Luke in Last Jedi, like, dusts off his shoulders. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're not making a Marvel movie.
Yeah, but Tom, about that,
Never mind, we'll leave that round for another day.
Yeah, we've only got 9 minutes left here, so I'll stop you there.
No, Flame, this is the perfect time to start a debate about the Disney ownership of Star Wars.
No, it's fine. We'll settle for Man of Medan. Was I seeing things, or did a rat run along the pipes?
There are some rats around, yeah, because it's not the most hygienic place that we're hanging around in here.
Alright, let's hide under... Oh! No. I'm startled, I'm not scared.
We'll believe you, for now.
That absolutely sounded like the gasp of a man who's not scared.
Man not spooked despite being spooked 50 times before saying so. Oh god, Sarge! Oh Jesus!
It's fine, they're just sleeping.
Oh man, they watched the latest Markiplier video and they were all spooked to death.
Jesus.
Just laughing their asses off.
Yeah, although I have to say, I'm very concerned about the one who decided to, like, fully manspread as he died. It's just like, you know, have a little bit more decency, man. Come on.
He's fucking dead! Are you really giving him the don't open your legs too wide argument there?
Oh lord.
I am indeed.
Okay, guy in front has a gun, guy in back has a knife. Both of these options will probably not help you against whatever's happening here.
Well, I mean, like, it's just the expanded meta of rock, paper, scissors, isn't it?
Oh god, that one didn't get me, I was laughing at what you said.
To be fair, this one was a lot slower. Like, it's building up in the sense that you expect something here, isn't it? So it's less, like, jumpy than you just open a door and suddenly a corpse falls down.
Yeah. Oh no. Fuck that, I didn't sign up to the army to fight the Grudge, the Ju-On or whatever.
Oh, something happened.
Oh God, no. Charlie!
Oh, it coming.
What's coming though? Sounds like it's having a good time with all that laughter.
It sure does, Flame. Huh. Don't open it, and don't shoot it either.
I'm shooting it. For that random, like, just aiming in panic thing, like, I sure managed to get some clean bullet holes.
Well, you know, he's a trained soldier. Hello. I've seen worse in Until Dawn.
Yeah, don't worry, this is just the prologue. That was the introductory jump scare.
Wow. He can't handle this horror situation at all, just getting spooked at everything.
Bear in mind that he's actually seeing this shit, he's not just watching it behind the screen. I think it's understandable.
Look, I can't teleport myself into these games, alright? I can't literally put myself in his shoes.
I mean, you could superimpose yourself like some, like, early 2010s reviewer.
Oh, Lord. Oh,
Shit.
that's never good. What?
How many arms do you need again?
Wait, didn't he die, or am I thinking of a different Sarge?
Different soldier.
I think there's a lot of these.
Your cross is too tiny, and for that you deserve to die.
There's a lot of just suddenly dying here.
Well, that's their ship now. Just ride it off. It's not worth the cost.
Yeah, no, agreed.
I don't know, that looks like it would have been really expensive, especially in the 40s.
God, don't start singing Oh Death again. I've had enough of that.
It is Oh Death.
Yeah, it is singing No Death.
Although apparently, I think this particular version is called A Conversation with Death, but it uses the same lyrics from Oh Death. And it's by a band called Chemist, apparently. But actually, I had listened to it. It's really cool.
It is. It's a different approach. Like, this is a much more industrial metal kind of thing, which I really like this version of the song.
Nice. So is this like the unofficial theme for the series or something?
I'm not sure, because like they've put a trailer out for the sequel to this that's coming next year, and it's got Scarborough Fair rather than Until Death.
Okay.
Oh Death even. I'm mixing me words, but yeah. Like, it feels like this is a fitting song for this particular entry, so I don't mind them reusing it.
Well, I mean, even if they do decide to use it as a sort of like leitmotif, I suppose, throughout the anthology, that's still quite a cool thing, because just sort of taking a song and doing it in all sorts of different ways is a really fun idea. I mean, somebody's actually, I think, managed to get a musical created, which is basically loads of different versions of All Star by Smash Mouth. That exists. That is real. I kind of want to see it.
That's more terrifying than anything we're probably going to encounter in the game.
Trust me, I've seen plenty of terrifying things with that song in particular, so I'll just move on from that.
Yeah, follow the compass directly to death. Good.
Either to death or until the office that we saw in the title screen.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. A Conversation with Death, performed by Chemists.
This gentleman here, we're going to have a chat with him in just a minute, but he is basically standing in the role of what Dr. Hill did in Until Dawn. Like, he just talks to you between chapters.
Oh, that's why I thought it was Peter Stormare. They do look kind of similar.
Nah, this is someone else.
This is a gentleman called Pip Torrens, or Torrance.
What, did he come from the past or something? What a name.
I know! Although, no, he was born in 1960. He's known for his roles as Tommy Lascelles in The Crown since 2016, and Colonel Kaplan in Star Wars The Force Awakens, and they're sort of the two main roles that are brought up on his The Dark Pictures Anthology wiki page, because, of course, that is a thing.
Greed and beauty.
Are you writing these stories based on murders you caused?
It's fine, don't ask questions and we'll all be fine here.
You see, this tale is only part written, and the choices you make will...
So this is doing the thing that pretty much everyone in these games has to do, of completely sucking itself off about how you can influence the story and stuff, as though it's the first game to ever do it.
Yeah, but with Until Dawn, and I guess with this, we'll see how it goes, there was the kind of honesty and endearing nature to it, as opposed to something like a David Cage game.
Yeah, I know, but it's more the fact that it has to spell it out so blatantly, even though the fact that like you're playing through the game and picking choices, you can kind of see what's happening. But I will say this isn't the worst offender. Like, I've played Catherine, and Catherine is so much worse about it than this is.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose potentially what Supermassive Games thought, it's probably not the right time to be bringing it up, but obviously they did quite well with Until Dawn, and I suspect that they were probably thinking we might get quite a few people who heard about Until Dawn come into this as a new game, and sort of need that going over again. Unfortunately, it didn't do nearly as well as Until Dawn, so they probably didn't need to do it, but that might have been part of the idea of have that sort of tutorial idea again for those people who are new to this type of game, but obviously, it wasn't necessarily required.
It's nice to have a limey on our side, I suppose. It's like pip pip cheerio, yes, that is my name, I will give you hints, etc. And we have a lot of Man of Medan coming for you guys over the next 6-7 days also, so get comfy, get a cup of tea, because it is the spooking season, and we're gonna spook you silly. See you next time, bye bye.